All right, welcome everybody. Everybody find your seats, please. I am being asked to introduce the space and the speaker of today. So the event for today is Growth Marketing Barcelona. But before we start talking about the event and about notifications, I would like to give a word to Sarah from Atticom, who will explain a little bit about the space.
Welcome. My name is Sarah, and I'm the responsible of this building that is called Attico Verdaguer. So I don't know if someone of you know Attico? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So we are a co-working space that born like 3 years ago, and they started like just one floor in Attico Urquinaona, near Urquinaona, in the Attico. And then they started to building other buildings. So now we have 6 buildings, and this is the new one. And so it's a co-working space. It's a place in which we rent desks and fixed and private offices for freelance or also company. And we have also a lot of company like Travel Pack, Kiwi and other company, and then we host also events. So for this is that we are here because we have a partnership with Data, and so if you want more information about Attico, you can take one of these on the reception, and I will stay here like 30 minutes, and then you can take one of these. So thank you to stay here, and thank you, Anna.
Thank you.
Let's switch the slide. Yeah. All right, I don't have to do anything. All right, welcome again to Growth Marketing Barcelona. This is the third talk that Atta is organizing for growth marketing here in Barcelona. I was honored to be the first speaker actually. This was in the beginning of December, I think. Yeah. First, second week of December, and it was about growth loops for the business that I work for, modelmanagement.com. Very interesting company, check it out. And then afterwards, Joe was talking about SEO in 1 hour, very insightful, hands-on workshop talk where we learned a lot about SEO. And tonight we're learning about push notifications. And I know Atta since I think a year. At a networking event, he was telling me about push notifications and browser notifications, and I didn't really understand it. I just feel it's something spammy and people don't opt into something like this. And, I didn't want to know much about it until I started working for the company I work for now, around 6 months ago. And then he reached out to me again. I was like, let's give this a try. So I am actually a client of Atta, and I won't tell you any of the details how things are going, but it's going very well. And I want to thank you for being a good business relation for me and for organizing these events. And I'll leave the space to you.
Okay.
Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark, for the nice presentation. So today I am going to talk about push notifications on the websites. It's going to be a very educative talk that I will explain you from very basics to more advanced, how things grow. Well, before actually going to that, just a little bit about what we are doing in these meetups. We are Growth Marketing Barcelona meetup group. And as Mark said, we started like December, of this series of the talks. And in each month we are inviting a different growth marketing expert to talk about a different topic. So it's not only me talking, as you understand, it's going to be like every month there will be a new speaker, a new expert, and explaining about one of his or her case studies, how they code growth with some tactics, with some channels, with some models. And then the idea is everybody can contribute, everybody can learn. So I hope you enjoy this and join our meetup group if you are not a member, and also our newsletter, so you'll be updated about the next events. So a little bit about me. So you will tell, okay, who is this guy who will give this speech and what he knows. So just a little intro about me. I am from Turkey. I don't know if you recognize from my name. And I studied industrial engineering, but just after graduation, I started working in a digital marketing agency 9 years ago, and since that time I worked all my career in digital marketing. And then in the meantime I did a master's in entrepreneurship, which gave me the idea to start a startup, which I'm doing now, which is called Frisbit. It's I will tell in the next slide, but yeah, I worked in different type of companies, from agency to e-commerce to also I saw different digital marketing aspects. So right now we are working at Barcelona Activa in Glorias as our startup, Frisbit. And we first came to Barcelona like 3 years ago for an acceleration program called Startup Bootcamp, and that's why I am here. And in Frisbit, we started, I think, almost 4 years ago now. We first started as a tool on which you can send push notifications, web push notifications, to any person. So it was like a central and very basic self-service software as a service, so that any website can use. That was our first version, and since that time I have seen all the evolution of browser push notifications, so I will just introduce you all of this. But right now our product does more than that. Right now we became a marketing automation platform, mainly for transactional websites. And what does it mean, transactional websites? Like e-commerce is a very basic example, but it doesn't have to be that. Any website who sell a service or product online, who are processing some transactions, can benefit from our solution. And it's not only web push now, it's like we send personalized and behavioral campaigns in other channels like email, SMS. Recently we added our webhooks through which you can connect to WhatsApp and Facebook Business, Facebook API, if you have these accounts. So that is more or less what we do in the company, but I don't want this talk to be branded about what we do. It's just I wanted to explain where this experience come from. If you're interested, just tell me after the talk and we can talk about Frisbit as well. So we have a little bit long agenda. I will introduce you very briefly the funnel, as I think all of you know. Then retention channels, then browser push notifications, what are them, why to use them, how to use them, and some more advanced features and latest updates about browser push notifications. So before we start, I want to ask who knows what is a web push notification is? Okay. Who is like the majority? Who is using it on their website that they are working at? Okay. Okay, cool. Just I can cater the presentation a little bit regards that. So basically, in marketing, like this is I think all of you know funnel. I don't want to talk about this, but today what I will talk is something about this retention section, activation and retention, I would say. And it's not a channel to acquire new users, but to convert them to loyal users and to convert them to purchases or bring conversions. And why retention is important in all the funnel. So when you spend some marketing budget and acquire new users, they land to your website, but if that is the first encounter that they are on your website, they will convert, let's say in an average of 2%. This is like not average of Spain, it's more like a global. And for even e-commerce, I assume it's lower. For some other industries, it's higher. But the interesting thing here is if you can return these users in whatever channel you can, the conversion rates just doubles. So you need to, in order to get the most out of your even user acquisition budget, you have to invest in retention to get more and increase your ROIs, because always retention is cheaper than acquiring new users, and it not only it generates new sessions, but also its conversion rate is high. But so the situation in a website is this. So here is more an example. I mean, all over in this presentation, I put e-commerce example because it's easier to understand for everybody. But you can imagine it's the same for any kind of business, because the users first land to the main page, and then they more or less see a category page and see the products. Then they can, if it's like a B2B website, they can maybe go to the form, and then if they leave the form, like they fill and submit the form, they become a user, or they do a registration, which is the conversion for that website. Or it can be, for example, Mark's company, Model Management. They are a platform, two-sided platform, which unites photo models with agencies, with brands. So for them, they sell premium memberships for both sides. So for them, the conversion is first mini conversion is the sign up, then the real conversion is that they sell premium membership. So on any website there's a similar funnel, but the important thing is if only 2% converts, then 98% of these users leave your website in different stages. So you have to bring these users back in whatever channels you can. So up until now, what is the channels that you are using most probably, or what are the available channels? Let's see them. Email is the most popular one. I think everybody is using that. SMS could be expensive for some countries, but in some of them it's still used. Then social media. Social media is also through all your pages. You can just send updates to your followers so that they can check your offers and updates that come back to your website, and then whatever your service is doing, they can interact with that. Retargeting ads is really efficient because this is very personalized. It doesn't require an opt-in other than cookie, and you can see whatever the users are left their experience on the website. They see an ad after they leave, so it's also quite profitable. There is app push notifications, which is the main user retention channel for apps, and then there is web push notifications, also known as browser push notifications. But how did we came here? So browser push notifications was not existing before like 2015. But app push notifications is also quite new if you think. Like, I think it was launched in 2009 or something. App push notifications, before that was not, the smartphones was not existing. But then after push notifications was introduced to apps, mobile apps, they became the main user retention channel for the apps. Then the browsers said, the providers of these push notifications were already Apple and Google. Apple for iPhone and Google for Android. Then they said, hey, why don't we do it for the browsers? So it can work in the same way, and this could be the new channel for websites to interact their users via our browsers. So, and that is how we came to browser push notifications. So what is it exactly? It's a text or rich media message. This is more like a dictionary So I mean, even if I say, I think you will read, so I'll let you read. The only nice thing about browser push notifications is after you get the opt-in from the users, they don't have to be on your website to receive it. So it's not like pop-ups which appear while you are on the website. So the users leave, then they receive an push notification just like app push notifications. And then if they click, then they land to your website, whatever channel you use. So, and how does it work? You know, there are some examples here. The main, maybe the most familiar one for you is maybe the newspapers or some magazines. They are using more to send, you know, breaking news or like latest updates. But it is also a quite interesting channel for transactional websites like e-commerce or travel, online agencies, whoever selling something. So then, how does it work? Basically, first we need to collect an opt-in from the users. So the opt-in can be, the opt-in has to be native when you are on that website. So there is no, you know, it's not like cookie pop-ups. It's not like any other pop-ups which ask you something on the button. It has to be native by the browser. So this appears on a, for example, this is how it works in Chrome, how it shows up in Chrome. In some others it shows up in another way. But after a user clicks on allow, then they are in. So they can always opt out on the settings of browsers, but until they do that, the website can always send them push notifications and the users receive it on their devices. So after we get the opt-in, so this process I am explaining for the majority of push notification providers. It works like that. Also, it works in our version 1, which is our tool for sending web push notifications. So after you get the opt-in, you can create a content of the push notification, like whatever update you would like to send. It could be like an offer, it can be like a news. And then you select whoever you would like to send. You can send bulk to all your subscribers, or you can, you know, segment them by their geography, their browser type, if they're mobile or desktop, or their language, or maybe if your tool is good enough, you can use it to segment by user behavior. And then the push notifications are sent, and this is an example how it looks, how it shows up. In Android phones, it's basically like a push notification, app push notification, but of the app of Chrome or Firefox or Opera or whatever browser you are using, or the native Android browser. And in Macs and in desktops, actually on Macs it shows up in top right, in Windows it shows in bottom right, and when you click on that, you go to the URL that you want. And then, yeah, you can always see in these providers, web push notification providers, you can see how many subscribers you collect, how many, what's your CTR, and how many clicks you generate. I mean, it of course depends from the provider, but this is more or less the idea. So maybe, is it clear now? Actually, I can show you a demo of how it works, but I don't want to also interrupt the flow. So how is it? Is it clear for all of you, or?
Yes.
Okay. So then this is actually the history of, short history of browser push notifications. Even though Mac introduced it after the apps, iOS, it didn't become an important channel because the Safari has a very small percentage of users overall. And then there is Opera also enabled it, but again it was not a big thing. But then when Google Chrome introduced it, it started becoming a topic for also marketers. First, it was more a tool that developers were integrating and testing. Then, you know, some tools like us, like some platforms, came up with the idea, hey, why there's no service which provides this? And then lately, this is not Internet Explorer, it's Edge, Microsoft Edge. So this is the order that's, and now, actually I think that is later somewhere, but I can tell you, now it works in all desktop browsers except Internet Explorer, and all mobile browsers and all mobile devices except iOS. So you can still engage with your mobile users on mobile web, but not in iOS devices, because that is, the limitation is on Apple. But so it's not technically possible, and we don't know if they will enable it. So that is the topic. So what it has, what is the anatomy of a browser push notification? So it's very standard. You cannot, change the color of the sections. It's not like pop-ups that you can design as you want, because this is just a standard channel of browsers. So it has an icon which has to be square. Then all the time, like your domain which you are subscribed to also shows up. And it has a one line title, 2 lines description, and there's something that we call rich push notifications. In that you can add a large image like this, and you can add an action button like this. So this makes it a rich push notification. And I think it works because if you can provide these, because these increase the click-through rates. But image only works in Chrome, and action button only works in Chrome and Safari. So then here I'll be telling why, as a marketer, you should use browser push notifications. So first, because it is the most engaging retention channel for websites. So I'm not talking about the apps. For apps it's app push notifications. But if you check the general rates, of course these all depend on different sources, depends on industry, depends on the country, but according to Sumo, in the global level, the emails has an opt-in rate of 2%. Browser push notifications has, even though in some devices you cannot ask, it has 5%. I mean, that's our average out of all users. And if you think about the percentage that we lose to iOS, it's actually like almost like 7% on the global level. So this means that if you don't have any accumulated database of email addresses which you are using for your CRM and retention, if you're a new startup who starts collecting email addresses and push notification subscribers, in any time you will have more subscribers for web push notifications. And even if you start now, let's say you have 100,000 email addresses in your database, even if you start browser push notifications, at a moment, in a couple of months or maybe years, but probably months, you will have the same amount of subscribers, and then it will be over in the number of email addresses. Then the click rate. Okay, for opt-in and accumulation, it was like that. For click rate, it also has 3 to 4 times higher click-through rate compared to emails. Why? Because it's very basic. In email, after you send an email, the user has to see it, open it, and then there's a link in it, and then they have to click on that. So if you think about that, even like maybe your open rates are 20% and like your, let's say, click rates are 10% in that, it makes 2% click-through rate in overall. Because it takes 2 steps basically, from receiving till converting it to a session. But in browser push notifications, because it directly appears on your device, on your screen, it's just one click. If you click, you're in, so you generate a new session. So that's why it's also more effective. And the other one is, this is like compared to Facebook. You know, in Facebook before, pages were much important because you can reach all of your followers, and when you update, you were able to see, like all of them were able to see, check notifications in the earlier times of Facebook. But right now it's not the case. Facebook shows your posts to only some percentage of the followers according to its algorithm. So that's why it's not, the reach never gets 100%. But in push notifications, except the people who opt out, they receive it. So then the other important feature is capability to retain non-registered users. For email addresses, for SMSs, they all require personal data in order to, you know, re-engage with them, in order to bring them back and do the retention. With browser push notifications, you don't need any personal data. If they accept that push notifications box, then they are in. You can send them something, a message. It's similar to app push notifications in that way. So that's also very powerful. You know, in most of the CRM and, you know, retention tools, it starts with email when a user becomes a lead when they, you know, register an email address. But with browser push notifications, actually the funnel starts a little bit earlier. They don't have to register for you to be able to retarget them, basically. So, and yeah, I already told you, but you can reach more or less 70 to 75% of all the browsing users on the web. The main thing which is missing is iOS and Internet Explorer. It's for most of the tools, it's free to start, or at least either they have freemiums or they have free trials, so you can just try if it works for you. But again, for any other retention channel, it's a matter of, you know, accumulating the subscribers and building a database. So you will get much more benefit in the future. So it's more like an investment, but it's very cheap to start. It doesn't require, and most of the tools don't require any onboarding fee, they don't force yearly contracts, so you're good to try tomorrow. And so in most of them, you just need 5 minutes, because most of them, the integration is adding a basic JavaScript code to your website, and then you can start collecting subscribers, and then you can send them push notifications. And yeah, you do like a setup, your domain, your, you know, logo, your icon, and then you do in 10 minutes, you add your JavaScript code to the website, and maybe there's a file called source worker, you upload that, and you're good to go. Then users can opt in one click. It's time effective. Why? First, because for a CRM, for somebody who's working in CRM, to, you know, create an email copy requires much more time. But push notifications are very short, so it also takes less time to create that. Short response time, because you just send and many people receive it, and because it appears on their screen, you know, maybe in an email the people who can know in Mark's meetup, like we send a lot of emails, but the time for the people to see and click takes more time. But in push notifications, it just appears, so in like a few minutes you start seeing all the traffic. And if you can automate it, like with some scenarios and with some templates, then you set it up once, and then you don't need to do anything else. It generates you leads and traffic. And it is GDPR friendly. Why? Because when all these push notifications doesn't require any personal data. So it is something between the user through its browser and these push notification servers of Google and Apple, and all this data flows between that. You are technically the owner of your subscribers, but the user doesn't have to give you any personal data, so that's why you don't have to maintain it just like in email tools. So it's much more easy. So up until now it was why we should use it. So now how we can use it as a more growth channel with automation and personalization, how you can make it just like retargeting ads to generate you leads and conversions in an autopilot mode. So as you know, like you've seen the funnel and the users are leaving the, check the time, okay, I have to press now a little bit. The users are leaving the website in different stages, as you know. Also you can use this channel as a retargeting channel to bring the users back to your website with the information we collect in each of these steps to bring them back to your website. So basically, what does it mean? You can probably, the ones who are familiar with e-commerce businesses, this is like an important automated campaign. Mainly email marketing tools have this feature, but it can work in any other tools. This means when a user adds a product to cart, but then they don't actually purchase it, complete their purchases, we can send them an automated message after X hours or X minutes or X days. So mainly, you know this, I mean, like Facebook retargeting ads, Google remarketing ads, or like the other tools like Criteo is basically doing this with ads. They are based on user behavior. And then this generates sales to you at a cheaper price than your user acquisition ads, and your ROI gets higher through these campaigns. But for each impression, you pay something. So why not you using an owned media like push notifications in the same way? You can use browser push notifications in the same way to send campaigns in an automated mode. So too much sentences, too much text. So basically, how you can use it is you can depending on the tool you use. Like, that's at Frisbee we also do that, but also you can find you can search for other tools who can do that, or you can maybe talk to your developers if you really want to build something similar in-house. That means a lot of effort, but you can also do that. So that is how you can use browser push notifications as an automated growth channel. For each stage of abandoning the customer journey, you can define if this, then that type of campaigns, and you can trigger these messages X hours or days after the user sleep. Because you set up them automatically, you set it once, then you are done. You don't have to do anything else than just checking the results on your Google Analytics, how much new traffic and revenue you generate, and how much it works. You know, like is it really effective? Like you might ask. So, and this is the formula. Like you can really increase your sales or conversions by 2% just using browser push notifications as an automated channel. How? The critical thing here is the opt-in rate. The opt-in rate changes a lot by country and by industry. We have some customers like Mi Cuento, they are selling personalized books for children. And because the parents, it's really like, you know, catchy, and then like, you know, the parents are very careful for their children, 20% opts in. 20%. But that is the main multiplier in this formula, how you can do it. So basically, let's say you receive 100,000 unique users to your website. If 10% opts in, which makes 10,000 subscribers from the unique users visiting your website. Let's say you put 2 messages in sequence. It could be like, you know, first you send 1 day after, maybe you send another one 2 days later. Or you can do it like 1 hour later and then 1 day later. You can, we add 2 automated messages on the sequence, and if we can personalize it enough, and if of course your copy is good, you can reach a click-through rate of 10%, which is not, that is actually our average in our personalized automated campaigns, because we can personalize it that much. And you know, if you multiply it with that, you know, it really makes 2% increase in sessions, and assuming that the conversion rate is the same, it means 2% increase in your conversions. So it's not a very big deal, like, okay, this increase like your, you know, sales and revenue like double. No, it's not like that. But you know, it's growth marketing, so you have to, you know, find each potential area that you can increase your conversions, and so that's why overall it means a lot. So something regarding the opt-in rates. Opt-in rate is quite high in Spain compared to the average of the world. Right now, for our customers, it says around 10% opt-in rate. But for example, as I am from Turkey, I know the opt-in rate there, it's like 3%. In, you know, Italy, it's like 6-7. Well, in Spain, it's like varies between actually 8 to 11. But it, of course, it depends on your industry. But if you are doing business in Spain, and if your target clients are from Spain, you have an advantage using browser push notifications than another business targeting another audience in another country. So, any questions by now?
Can you customize the like who you want to target? For instance, like you don't want those pop-ups to go to your existing customers, so you just want them to go to the new customers that go.
Yeah, it's definitely, you know, depends on your scenarios. Like in these scenarios that I was mentioning, you know, when a user visits your website and, you know, came until one stage of the funnel, you know, and then because we need the opt-in, and we can, you know, also customize the opt-in. That's another topic. But you know, after getting the opt-in, you can trigger these notifications.
So can you restrict it not to target your existing customers? Or?
Yeah, that's totally up to you. You know, as your segmentation, whichever you prefer. But what I would suggest is, you know, try to engage with all the users who left the funnel. You know, I mean, even like the ones who left, you can do, you know, cross-sell campaigns, giving them, I don't know, discounts, or like giving them more offers. You can do also, you know, retargeting with push notifications to them. But you know, the more scenarios you define to cover all sections of your funnel, is better. You can, of course, you can say, okay, I don't want to, for my existing customers who visited, I don't know, like before 1 year, 6 months, etc. You can segment it. That's up to you. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, you did. I'm just wondering how does it how does it know which ones are your existing customers?
Yeah. You mean existing customers? You mean like before you start push notifications, or?
Before, yeah.
Yeah, you know, like you can always integrate, like, you know, pass some data like email addresses or, you know, user IDs of your existing customers to, like, for example, in this case, Frisbit or to other tool, and then you can know if that is a totally new customer or that's a previously logged in customer.
Okay.
Yes.
I have a question. Is it true that the pop-up for the opt-in has a negative impact on SEO and we should use this prime for push?
So.
Would you like to receive and then show the...
So I will respond this in I have it on the slides. Other question up until now? Okay. So then, in order to reach this much, you know, click-through rates like 10% or even higher, you need to send it personalized. And you know, in order to personalize it, of course, like you can do the standard ways of, you know, that you're using in email marketing, saying like, hi, name, hi, Jane, hi, Jack. That is also, you can do it with static text, like of the user. But what is more, you know, advanced and what is more appealing is really sending a push notification exactly about their behavior. So, for example, this is an example of an airline or a travel agency. And for 3 users who searched for a flight and then they left, because they searched for different dates and for different destinations, they received different push notifications in the end. And after searching and not booking your flight, when you see, yeah, I was going to buy a ticket, and then especially if they, you know, put a little bit on pressure on time, like saying, the prices will increase, hurry up, then you just come back and then you buy. And you can reach high CTRs, click-through rates. You can personalize with their language. You can detect you have 2 options. You can detect the language from their devices, or if your website is multi-language, you already know the users came to which version of your website in which language, and then you can create different templates for all your users using different in their languages, and this actually increases a lot. But of course, it requires a little bit more effort in creating the copies, but it works. It works. You can do dynamic segmentation even deeper to find a more interesting, you know, audience for you, depending on user behavior. You can do A/B tests to find which copy is working for you. So you can test it for the images. You can test it for, you know, your call to actions. You can basically test any template or any scenario as well. Like you can test it, okay, is it better if I send 1 hour after or 1 day after? So you have to test it you cannot know it without before. And according to the results, you always optimize your you know, templates and optimize them, increase your CTRs and increase your conversions like that. And in order to measure the success of your campaigns, don't forget to add UTM tags at the end of your URLs so that you can always see them on your Google Analytics or whatever user analytics platform you are using. You can see where it comes from. You know, this sale, where did it come from? So, some other tips about rich push notifications. As I said, it only works on Chrome, the images, and on Macs also it doesn't work. It only works in Windows and Android. It has an effect of increasing 20% more, the click-through rates. And also these action buttons that you can put a maximum of 2, this also increase the click-through rates by 12%. don't send a lot of push notifications like very frequently. You know, you have to find the right frequency for your audience. You know, for example, if you ever sign up to a newspaper, you know, you'll be receiving a lot of news even while you are working, and if you receive too many, then users will probably opt out. So you should, I'm talking about more manual bulk campaigns. You know, that's totally depending on your industry. You have to find the right frequency for that, but don't use it too much. It's the same as in any other marketing campaign. You have to, you know, use call to actions to increase the CTRs, click-through rates. Not to increase your CTRs, but to increase your conversion rates, you need to the page that the user's land has to be relevant with your copy. So the more relevant landing page you send them to, it's a higher conversion rate for you. If you use emojis, because they are, you know, more shiny, colorful, you can increase your click-through rates. If you are a company who is using coupon codes, there is actually by the nature of push notifications, it doesn't, you know, stay, like, it's not something permanent, just like email that you can keep in your inbox. It will disappear if you don't click, or like it will be there, but it's much more, you know, easy to lose. So that's why it's always good to use the coupon codes more at the beginning of your push notification text, so that the people can still, you know, while they're clicking, they can keep in their minds and then apply while they go to the checkout. Or even in some systems, you can just add this coupon code as a parameter, and even they don't have to add it as a coupon code, type them themselves.
Can I ask a quick question now, or should I leave it?
No, you can.
Yeah? You brought up a good point. In Facebook, you can say send it to my messenger as a reminder, no? Here, are you thinking of doing anything similar? So that, oh, it's interesting, but it's not time. I want to send it to my email, or send it.
Well, that is, we can only do it with, you know, we can do something like inbox of push notifications. It can still work, but, you know, in order to do that, it all depends on the browsers, because we cannot change it. You know, the thing we can do is just maybe as an action button, we can add, okay, save it to my something.
Okay.
Advanced just using our technology. We have to be within the standards of the browsers.
And follow up with these kind of push notifications. Do you have a short expiry time for these push notifications, or?
Okay, this is an advanced question. No, it's good that you asked. Actually, I took it out from the presentation, thinking that it was too advanced. So there is a parameter called time to live, and basically you define this push notification to be active or visible for the users, because not all the people receive a push notification at that time. They can be offline. Maybe they already use it in the weekends, but in the weekdays they don't use, or vice versa. So maybe you send something which is not relevant, which will not be relevant 3 days later. So just because of this, there's a parameter called time to live, and you can use this parameter to say, okay, if a user receives push notification within this time period, show it. If they receive it after, don't show it. So yeah, and this is like a feature in Chrome and Firefox, I think. And yeah, you can put.
And how long does it actually? Sorry, how long does it actually stay? Can you change how long it stays?
Okay, so that is totally by operating systems and browsers and your device as well. The only parameter that you can decide is if you would like to force an interaction or not. What does it mean? So if you don't force an interaction, the push notification, appears, stays there, I don't know, 6-7 seconds, and then disappears. Or you can force an interaction, which means that unless the user clicks on this X button to close it, or or click it to go to the page, it stays on your desktop. It has advantage or disadvantage, because you might, if you send all your notifications like that, and if you are sending too many, the user probably would opt out because all the time you are, But if you are sending not that frequently, and then I think it's fine to use. I mean, especially like in our retargeting type of campaigns, we usually force interaction so that it stays on their screen, and either they close or they click. But again, it depends on the operating system and the device and the browser. There was a question.
You suggested not having too many. Is there a rule of thumb for how many pushes?
I mean, I cannot tell something. I think it also depends on your audience, where they are at. I mean, for example, in Spain, really less number of websites are using push notifications. So, I think the subscribers are in a good moment. Even if you send less, they will give more attention, and your click rates will be higher. It depends on your industry. I mean, it depends on your business. Like, for example, again, I will, just because Mark is here, I'll give an example. In their platform, there are photo models who are waiting for castings to apply. So in that case, and every day there are new castings published. So they select one top push notification to send to everybody, and then they send. But for an e-commerce, I would say, I wouldn't do probably more than once a week. Depends on you, depends on your own strategy, but there are some brands who are sending also every day and a different offer as an e-commerce, but depends on your audience really. I don't know. When you send more, your opt-out rates will be more, but at the same time you will be generating more sessions through all the people who haven't opted out. Any other question up until now, or I continue? Okay, I continue. Are you bored? Should I?
No.
Okay. Okay, this is the topic that you asked. So there is different opt-in ways to opt-in. So as I told, you have to get the opt-in natively while the user is on there and native browser one. But you have a few options. You can trigger this whenever a user lands on your page. That's what most of the people do, because you can collect more subscribers like that. The other option is you first show a pop-up to wherever in your somewhere in your page to understand if the user will be. By the way, I will share the slides later, so you can still take pictures, but I'll be sharing. You can show an earlier pop-up, and if they click on you trigger this. If they click on later or not yet, not now, etc., you don't trigger this. So you don't bear the user with this one. So in my suggestion for user, either you show this or you show that. You are showing something extra. The advantage of this is that if clicks on block, you lose the opportunity to ask them in the future again. So if they block, they block. You are blocked. You can never ask this again. If a user clicks on this, they can always, you can show this one again because they didn't give a permanent response. And if they allow, they are already. So in order not to get too many blocks, and in order not to lose the opportunity to ask them in the future, this makes sense. But at the same time, this has on the average 3 times more opt-in rates than this. So in this one, you will collect much more subscribers in a faster way. So and in most of the time, we were suggesting this for the sake of our customers' future, benefits, etc. But no, all the marketers wants to see the results now, and it makes sense because if you saw the formula. If you have 10% opt-in rate and 3% opt-in rate, it's like just multiplying the effect by 3. So that's why it has more sense to show the results in a faster way. Or you can trigger. You have another option. You can trigger this with an event on your website. For example, you can put a text or a button on your website saying that allow push notifications, and it could be like a radio button, or it could be anything. And whenever they turn it on, you trigger this. So I think for UX that is the best. And for also Google, Google doesn't suggest this one either. Google doesn't suggest this one. I will talking about an update, but maybe I can say it now. Google recently published its 80th version, like version 80, and it's said that okay, from now on I will start regulating the push notifications opt-ins. So depending on the I don't know if I should go there, but anyway, I will show it in its own slide. But now the things are, you have to check really how many blocks you are. I would still suggest this one, but just to see the effects. But check your block rates. If it's too high, maybe you might consider switching to this. But yeah, it's up to you.
What's a high block rate?
That is also, I cannot answer. Basically, Google announced another thing just with this update. Now they start collecting all the opt-in data with like 4 options. Like when the user is shown this, what they can do. They can click on this, they can click on allow, they can click on block, and they can ignore it, like dismiss it. So Google keeps tracks of all of this now and publishes as a public API. So now you can check basically from Google's Browse UX database opt-in rate of all the websites that is collecting push notifications. But of course they didn't put all the websites which have less traffic. They selected, it's still like a sample. They started doing it January. So whatever I see there, there is like 50%, and Google shows as in its blog post like I think 20 or 10 as a good small block rate. But that's Google's something blog which the people would like to get updates. It's not the same in all the rest. So what I would say, if you're not really using the push notifications to abuse this channel and try to generate traffic to another website that you keep yourself. There's also these kind of businesses. They create like newspaper or like blog type websites and collect the push notification subscribers there, and then they sell this to advertisers, and advertisers generate clicks through this, and they charge CPC. That some agencies or people started doing this kind of business, but then Google realized, hey, like this is not what we intended when we initialized that. So again, I cannot say, I don't know yet. This blog post was published 2 weeks ago, And we also published in our blog. You can go and read there, I suggest. So, and scenarios, how you can use it. Again, I will give the examples for e-commerce, but you can think in your own funnel, the funnel of your own website. And of course, between all these stages, your users abandon your website, and you can generate different campaigns there. So the first one, the most easiest one that anybody can do is seasonal updates or seasonal campaigns. So what does it mean? You don't need any automation, any scenario. You can just say, hey, like it is Father's Day, so I will just create a landing page or like discounts for this, and then send a push notification to the users about that. Or about Christmas, Black Friday, or whatever, like Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, Father's Day. You can always send bulk manual push notifications to your subscribers. That is easy, that's not complicated. Don't overuse this, but you can use this when it makes sense. Another very basic automated campaign is saying welcome to your subscribers when they subscribe. So you can say, you can give them a coupon code, or you can just say, hey, welcome, and these are my value propositions. So it's just one way. Another way to say hi to your users. So from now on, I want you to imagine your own funnel and think about all these steps. After they came to your home page, they probably went to category page. So for all the users who visit your category page, which could be like perfumes or like which could be coats, but who didn't check a specific product, you can create a scenario and saying, okay, send this one 1 hour after, send this one 1 day after. So this is like it could be category retargeting. Very similarly, you can do one step more in your funnel. It could be product retargeting, which means the people see a product page, but then they didn't add to cart, or like depending on your business, they didn't signed up for that. Depending on your business, they didn't take this step after. And again, you can say you can personalize it with the image of the product, name of the product, price of the product, category of the product, and you can send all of this. In our case, you can send this through JavaScript codes, or like if you are using Google Tag Manager, you can. You're already using Google Analytics like this, most probably. For if you're using enhanced e-commerce, we can get all the data, and you can use this. You can start these campaigns right away. But of course, for example, in Mark's case, one user in their funnel is different. One user first signs up, then some of them don't upload a picture. So we say, hey, come and upload a picture. So some upload a picture, but they don't fill their details about their age, where they are living, etc., etc. We say, hey, fill this. Then for the people who complete that, we say, hey, you still didn't apply for a casting. Come and apply for a casting. And then up until that, until we suggest them a premium membership, all the funnel goes like that. So this is the most popular and most effective campaign of all. The people who really came till the end of the funnel but then didn't convert. This will be the most effective for most of the cases. For an e-commerce website, this means a user add the product to the basket but then didn't buy. For an travel agency or a hotel or an airline or a ticket provider, it could be like the people who really selected an event to go and just came to the page where they entered their payment details or their name and they left. So you can remind them just on time, just after they leave, very personalized. If your business is like a type of a business that you depend on repeat orders like water, dog food, cat food, you know, these kind of subscription-based or like similar repetitive products. This also makes a lot of sense to, you know, say, hey, you know, dog food, just they consume it in, I don't know, 1 month. So every month they have to give an order. Remind on time. Or after, if you see some users haven't visited your website for a X period of time, it could be like 1 month, you can say them, hey, we missed you, here's a coupon for you, or just, hey, we missed you, come and enjoy our new collection. So it all depends on your business, but you have to, you know, think about your funnel and then where the users are abandoning. And more for B2B businesses or who rely on more lead nurturing type of campaigns, you're doing this on email. You can do the same through push notifications. You can create some flows, you know, to educate your users about your product and, you know, nurture them. You can set up maybe, you know, 12 different push notifications which goes to different blog posts or different features of yours and send them every week. So after a user subscribes to your push notifications, you can nurture them and, you know, onboard them with also personalized notifications just you are doing with email. As I said, you integrate with JavaScript code to many of the solutions, including us. But you know, most of this e-commerce or like event data, I would say, most probably exists in Google Tag Manager. You can also do it without asking anything to your developers. So this was more or less how then. Still, I have more slides. Do you want? Okay, I'll just keep it fast. So here's just 5 slides about critical mistakes. One of the critical mistakes is there's some providers provide some freemium version, but they sell the data of your users in this scenario because you're using for free. So you have to check really for what they are free, and because if you're targeting European Union residents, selling the data of your users to any other third party without their consent is illegal according to GDPR. So you shouldn't do that. So that's why be careful about the push notification providers and check their terms of conditions, especially, you know, like the ones who are charging for the service wouldn't be selling your data. But, you know, there is one very popular, I don't want to name it, is doing that.
Maybe. What does it sound like?
It starts with 1.
Oh.
Yeah, they started also a paid version after GDPR, like 1 year later, just because everybody was leaving them. So in this, you know, depends also what kind of personal data you are processing on your website. But, you know, the free version, they sell the data, so be careful with that. Another mistake with some other providers, you know, most of the time this is like a new channel and there are some tools, you know, and the marketers probably like hear from somebody and then start using a tool, or a salesperson comes and sells, whatever. But, you know, they imagine that the channel is the same as, it's very similar to email. Like, you know, you can switch from one provider to another at any time you want. But, you know, in browser push notifications, unfortunately, it's not the case because there is nothing physical that you can, you know, keep these permissions. All these permissions are kept by the browsers in the push notification servers, and they are registered by their domains. So whatever website you are giving permission for, it's the one here. So for example, there's a there's a company, Dream. I don't know if you know, probably the toy company. They started using a push notification provider. They said that's first like they show a pop-up, then they ask the native one. But unfortunately, the permissions that they are asking is not for their own domain. So what does it mean? They are not technical owners of their subscribers. They can never migrate these subscribers, and then they are stuck to that provider. And also because this has two-step opt-in, their opt-in rate is lower than many others. So that's why, for whenever you are choosing a provider, make sure that you are really collecting on your own domain. That's a trick with some of the providers, so you have to be careful with that. In this case, like they would never be able to. Maybe they have 100,000 subscribers collected now in 2 years. They cannot change it. So as I said, in order to do all this personalization of automation, you better use a provider and select a provider which has these features. I'm not branding. Yeah, one of them is Frisbit, but you can always do it with your developers, or you can research for any other tools. If you think that you can develop it in-house, think twice, because yes, you can develop it in-house to send push notifications in a bulk way or based on an event according to you, but you have to in order to cover all the potential, you have to build different solutions for Chrome, Firefox, Safari, and each of them uses different protocol. That is one. For your reporting, you have to do your own reporting. You have to do, if you would like to do scenarios or personalization, it's going to be totally up to you to develop it as well. So it will take more time, and it will most probably underperform compared to what is in the market. Okay, so it's almost the end. This is the update of Google, and which they published 2 weeks ago. They said if a website has really low opt-in rates or high block rates, they didn't say on what conditions, but they said, okay, we will be careful about this. Even if you want, you won't be able to show this native opt-in box to your users. So it won't allow you to collect more subscribers if you are using that. Now they are regulating it. So in this case, when a user came, they will just see notifications blocked, and unless the user goes here and then opt-ins, they can do it. But this will it won't be as in your control to ask it. So what you should know about this is, you might need to think about your opt-in strategy if you want to really ask to everybody, or when they come, or change your strategy to collect less opt-ins, but in a more behavioral way, like maybe when user visits the second page, or depending on events. But again, this is not effective. I would say, in my opinion, it's not affecting the websites who are using it properly, because the other one is abusing web push notifications, who are sending it to different websites, always maybe selling it as an ads, or so that the CPRs are very low and opt-out rates are high, because the users are obviously don't like this. So Google will start regulating it. So that's another thing. It's the end. So I was planning to do a demo of our, how it really shows up. It will just take 5 minutes. I think I will do that, but I won't show anything else. I was planning some other things, but it just I'm not good in timing. So any questions? So
What differentiates your company, like from the other competitors?
Well, I would say it's we already had a product which is very similar to all the other products in the market, as we call it our version 1, where you can send manually to everybody. You can manage like your subscribers on different browsers, etc. But the value here is, create a growth channel by itself, setting up all these scenarios, and send the most relevant message at the best time to the user, so that you can increase your conversions with less effort from your side. That you don't have to type a notification to re-engage with your users all the time. The most relevant templates will be already sent and personalized to the end users. So I would say the personalization, but it's really good, like hyper personalization and automation scenarios based on user behavior. And on top of web push notifications, we offer the other channels like emails, SMS, and you can combine it with these channels. You can send the first web push notification, then if they still don't convert, you can send an email, then maybe you can still send an SMS, you can combine it. That's the other. But just for web push notifications, I can say there are not, there's one or very, very few companies who can do what we are offering in terms of automation and personalization. So
how is your offer structured in terms of pricing?
So we have two models. One is if you don't want to use automation or anything, you can use our version 1, which helps you to send push notifications for everybody. That we charge based on subscribers, number of subscribers. It starts from 44 euros per month, and then depending on the amount of your subscribers, it increases. But I would suggest the other platform, which is the automation one, that we charge per monthly visitors on your website. For every 100,000 visitors, we charge 89 euros per month. So what does it mean? So if you have up until 100,000, you just pay 89 euros per month. If you would like to, you have 1 million, you should pay something around 1,000.
Can the visitors be compounded for different websites? Can the number of visitors be compounded for different websites, like 2, 3, 4? You said like 100,000 in 4 websites, or it has to be one?
Well, that is not in our standard pricing, but we can talk in that case. Yeah, but in our standard pricing, this is for per one website. But overall, most probably it will be the same. It won't matter if it's just one website or 4, but depends on the distribution of the websites. One was here, one was another place. There were 2 questions.
I had the same question.
Okay. The other one also had the same question. Okay, so I'll show you the demo, how it looks like, and then I'll just stop, because we already over the time. So basically you can also do this on your own, Android device, on your computer, whenever you want. This is our demo website, which is like an e-commerce type of website. And as you can see, we also showed a pop-up previously, and then we trigger this just to show the other feature. And when the user clicks on allow, even if I leave the website, I can leave it. Okay, sorry. I touched. Okay, you missed it. You missed the show. But it's here. So let's close these ones. So they sent a welcome push notification, which just after but what is more interesting is, let's say I checked this product, but then I went to Google before even adding to my cart. So it should send a push notification about this product saying, hey, don't miss it while it's in stock, blah 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 blah, and like with the image of this product, with the name of this product, and whenever I click, I go to the page that I left. Let's say I add to cart, and just because this is kids skateboard, all the push notifications will be relevant about this, and say, hey, you forgot something in your cart, and with this image. So just like this, you use it as a retargeting channel, just in the same way, just like retargeting. Yeah. So it's already been like almost 1 hour and 15 minutes, so I don't want to bear you more. Any other questions you might have, you can ask now. If
about the last thing you showed about Google's 80 update. So basically sending users to another website is something we should always avoid. The push notifications are made for bringing users back to the website where they signed in for these notifications.
Yeah, that's the original purpose. So, yeah. But that was your question, just the confirmation, or you want to?
Yeah, and also in that context, is there any information if it affects SEO, if a website is punished or has a low opt-in rate, high block rate? Can it also affect?
So all this update is more about Google Chrome blocking push notifications and opt-ins. But yeah, if it really affects the SEO is another topic. But what you should see, I mean, in my opinion, even if it affects, it should affect very minor, just as another pop-up you are showing on your website. I mean, then if you're really careful about the UX, don't show any pop-ups. Don't even like with your cookie, you shouldn't use the larger cookie things, but at least you need to, get the permission for the cookies. So it's like, I think just because that looks like something native, the users trust it more than regular pop-ups and cookie boxes. So I don't think it really affects, but you should check with bounce rates and etc. So then it's the networking time. Thanks for coming, and if you don't forget to sign up to our meetup group, and we will already send you new events. Now we have our beers, some tapas to eat.
Say that? No. Okay. Did you cancel it?
Yeah.
No. You can cancel it.
Yeah.
No, the people might not want to be on the live, so it's better if you finish it.